Hello, my name is Craig Brown, and my Project 2 presentation is on avoiding gender bias in the classroom. So what exactly is gender bias? Gender bias is where we reinforce gender stereotypes such as male and female. We maintain sex separation, and by that I mean that we group boys together and girls together. We don't integrate them in classroom or activities. And then we also treat males and females differently as students. We may have different expectations for them in the class, different roles we give them, and that can help contribute to gender bias. So what are some examples of gender bias? One is we can ignore instances of sexual harassment, both males and females. We can boost the self-esteem of boys only. That tends to be seen a lot more with male-dominated classrooms, both teacher and boys. And third is contributions and experiences of girls and women are ignored in textbooks, assessments, and curriculum, meaning that you see researchers, for instance, in math, you don't see very many women that have contributed to the field, although we know they are out there. They are geared more towards men. So how can we help avoid gender bias? One is we can avoid the stereotypes. And then promote integration. And then we can treat males and females equally. So how do we avoid stereotypes? One is we can assign tasks in the classroom without regard to gender, meaning if we have leadership roles and or clerical roles that we assign to our students, we can assign them without regard to either boys or girls being best fit, if you will, for that role. It gives them the opportunity to be in roles that are not traditionally meant for men or women, male or female. Second thing we can do is avoid talking in stereotypes such as boys don't cry. Things of that nature are very hurtful toward the genders, so we need to try to avoid that. And we need to avoid sexist nicknames such as tomboys. I know even though some girls may not mind it, some females, some girls in classes may become very uncomfortable and they may feel like they're being stereotyped unfairly. And then we also need to equally encourage students who show interest in areas that do not correspond to cultural stereotypes. Meaning if we have a girl that is very interested in science and math, then we need to encourage her to go for it. Tell her, hey, you can do that. You can do whatever you set your mind to. And then finally, we need to positively reinforce them. Just tell them that they're just as good as anybody else out there, whether they're male, female, boy, girl, doesn't matter. Positive reinforcement can go a long way in helping close and eliminate the gender bias in our classrooms. So how can we promote integration? We can collaborate with both girls and boys in groups together instead of just boys only and girls only groups. We can have, and that ties into groupings for classroom activities. Also, if you have tables in your classroom where you have the students situated, you can have boys and girls mixed. And then finally, we can treat females and males equally. This is pertaining to calling on boys and girls equally to answer questions, especially abstract ones that cause them to think. Sometimes we may tend to lean more toward boys in class instead of girls, as far as them being able to think abstractly and answer the more difficult questions. We can expect the same participation out of both boys and girls in their classroom, meaning that we can call on them equally and expect them to both be able to answer the type of questions that may be abstract or more difficult. And like I referred to earlier, ensure that leadership roles involve both sexes. And finally, use activities that are likely to engage the interest and perspective of both girls and boys. And we can encourage girls to study math and science. That's usually tended to be a men-only or boys-only field, but this day and age, it's important for girls to study math and science also. So how do I work to ensure no gender bias in my classroom? One is I keep the expectations the same for all students regardless of gender. I try to pretend that I am have a blind eye to boys and girls, calling them equally. I tell them that I praise each of them equally, regardless of what their accomplishments are, regardless of what their gender is. As long as they're doing their best work, I applaud them all equally. Second, I encourage all students equally to do their best. That goes a long way to help everybody feel comfortable and know that there's no unlevel playing field, if you will, in the classroom. And then I also ask questions equally of both boys and girls in the classroom. That helps ensure the gender bias. And then one thing I've started doing this year is strive to look for topics that may allow them to do research on both men and women in the field of mathematics. Like I referred to earlier, a lot of times we see just the men referred to in the textbooks and tests and things of that nature. So if we strive to research the female side of it, the female roles, then we can see that there are much richer resources that can be unearthed and used in our classroom for our students. And here are my references from our textbook on Chapter 4. Thank you.